Hi, Acadiana. I'm meteorologist Dave Baker. We've made it to Wednesday, September the 11th, and we have a landfalling hurricane forecast on the Louisiana coast. And we did see some strengthening during the overnight time period, and the forecast intensity now has it hitting the Louisiana coastline along the St. Mary Terrebonne Parish coast, very close to Morgan City or south of Morgan City, with winds perhaps up to 100 miles per hour. So still an alert day for most of us. If you're still under a tropical storm warning, still prepare for a tropical storm warning, but our friends that live farther to the west will see that sharp gradient of the rain kind of ending, and also the wind speeds will be a lot less off toward the west. But make sure you check in with your local law enforcement or government and also local media around to make sure you know exactly what to expect. But I do want to say hi to my friends over at Ritter Consulting Engineers. They've got you covered before and after the storm, and make sure the stuff that matters is in Matterport. Ritter Consulting Engineers can create 3D imaging of your home or business for insurance purposes, and it will all be in Matterport. Call 984-8498 or visit their website. Of course, the sky cam is pretty gray here in Lafayette. We've got a little bit of a breeze so far, but generally we've seen some light rain across Acadiana. And there's a look at one of the webcams that's down in Cocodrie, and we are going to be seeing those tides coming up, and you can see there is some flooding that's already going on as the storm surge is expected to be somewhat extreme there over the southern parts of Terrebonne Parish. On our traffic cams, of course, the roadways are wet across the region, and they're going to stay that way, and travel is strongly discouraged, especially if you're going east of Lafayette over toward Baton Rouge and into the New Orleans area, because as Francine makes its way onshore, it looks like Iberia, St. Mary, Terrebonne, and then the center of that circulation is going to be lifting up toward the capital city and into Mississippi. So southeastern Louisiana will be impacted by the heavy rain as well as the wind and all of that storm surge farther down toward the south. Of course, we're now able to see the eye of the hurricane on the radar as it continues to lift off toward the northeast. And of course, our temperatures with this very humid tropical air mass have all remained in the 70s. We're not going to see much of a temperature change today. There are several hurricane warnings and tropical storm warnings that are still in place so far. None of these have changed since the early morning forecast. And we're going to get another update on the cone at 10 o'clock. And also that will make some changes when it comes to the watches and warnings. But there's a look at the satellite. You can see a big blow up of thunderstorm activity in the offshore waters, and a little closer view of this as it moves its way closer to the Louisiana coast, already feeling the impacts there along the coast with some gusty winds and some moderate rains over parts of St. Mary Parish and then down into Vermilion Bay as well. And boating, of course, strongly discouraged this time around. Some of those seas could go as high as 20 or 25 feet right there around the center of circulation. But there's the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center. Usually the system goes right down the middle of the cone, but remember, it can go all the way to the left or all the way to the right, so there still is a little bit of wiggle room. And of course, with a center of circulation, just a 10-mile difference east or west can make a difference dramatically in what kind of weather you end up having. And there are hurricane force winds right around the center, and I think that will be more concentrated to the coastlines of St. Mary and Terrebonne parishes, although the chance for tropical storm force winds are pretty likely over a good chunk of Acadiana, with most of those winds reaching the area by midday, and some hurricane force winds are possible as well, especially down to the south. But areas outside of Iberia, St. Mary, and Terrebonne, especially northeast going to St. Martin and over toward Iberville Parish, could see some wind gusts that go as high as 75 miles per hour. Again, a very sharp gradient when it comes to the rainfall. So if you live down to the southeast, you're going to see the moderate to heavy rainfall, but then you work your way westward and quickly those rainfall totals drop off. So here in the mid part of Acadiana, Lafayette, probably looking maybe 2 up to 4 inches of rain. Down toward New Iberia, Morgan City, you're more in the 4 to 8 inch range. And then back toward Lake Charles, you might not see any rain this time around. So the flood threat is generally for southeastern Louisiana and the extreme southeastern part of Acadiana. There's a look at the hurricane models. Again, they're clustered. They haven't moved a whole lot, maybe a slight shift to the east, but they're still pretty much in line with where the National Hurricane Center's cone goes. And most of the intensity models have now clustered in the upper part of Category 1 and lower part of Category 2. So prepare for a Category 2 hurricane in the areas where a hurricane warning is in effect. Now, what's going to happen after it moves inland? It's going to be pushing northward through Mississippi and eventually into the Tennessee Valley. So we are going to be seeing improving conditions fairly quickly on Thursday, as Hurricane Francine is going to be moving rapidly across the area, so it's not going to stick around too much. And as it moves to the north, it may start to pull in some drier air as we go into the latter part of the week, and maybe we'll get some of those temperatures to drop back into the 60s. But next 24 hours are going to be critical there. Over the eastern half of Acadiana, western half of Acadiana, you will see less impacts. And then if you live over toward Baton Rouge, Houma, Thibodaux, down toward Raceland, and over toward the New Orleans area, the West Bank particularly, you are going to be seeing the possibility of some hurricane force winds. And don't be surprised if the Baton Rouge area and even parts of the western North Shore catch some of this as well. So the eastern half of Acadiana more under the gun than what the western half of Louisiana is. So hurricane warning in parts of Acadiana today. Temperatures will climb to 80 degrees. Rain likely over most areas except for the far western. Remember, this is all going to be concentrated closer to the center of circulation, so the farther west you live, the less the impact will be. The farther east you live, the more impact you will see. As far as Thursday, quickly clearing. We'll see temperatures getting up to 85 and some sunshine on Friday with a high near 88, with a low temperature dropping down to 69 degrees. Of course, we'll go through all of that with Hurricane Francine and some extended coverage later today on Let's Talk Tropics. That will be live today at noon or earlier if things change. And of course, if you're subscribed to the channel, you will get those alerts and notifications. And also don't forget that you can visit my social media pages as well, and that will also take you to updates that we have between any live updates. Of course, like, subscribe, and also turn on those notifications here on Acadiana Weather Today. That way you get the alert if we do anything live or when Let's Talk Tropics starts later today at noon. Of course, I'm meteorologist Dave Baker. Everyone stay safe, and I will keep you updated throughout the day, and I'll see you a little bit later this morning or early this afternoon.